geo.
Hello and welcome. You're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar calls on European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen in Delhi. She's set to hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Modi on Friday. Israeli Prime Minister instructs negotiators to head to Cairo for Gaza talks. The Hamas says it's ready to take negotiations forward as the ceasefire deal's first phase ends this week. Ahead of his meeting with US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer says there's no more important relationship for him and his country than that with the US. And Hollywood mourns as two-time Oscar awardee Gene Hackman and his pianist wife Betsy Arakawa are found dead in their Santa Fe home along with their dog. First up, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar has called on the visiting European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi and lauded her views on reorganizing India's engagement with Europe. Dr. Jaishankar further stated that the wide-ranging participation of Indian ministers in EU College of Commissioners during the visit stands testimony to the importance India gives to deeper India-EU ties. Earlier in the day, elevating the India-EU multifaceted partnership to new heights, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen arrived in New Delhi on Thursday afternoon for the first visit of EU College of Commissioners to India. During the visit, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President von der Leyen will hold delegation-level talks, likely covering the proposed India-EU Free Trade Agreement or FTA, security cooperation and Russia-Ukraine conflict. Discussions will also focus on expanding the India-EU strategic partnership to newer areas like defense technology and energy cooperation. Von der Leyen is accompanied by a European Union College of Commissioners and the second ministerial meeting of the India-EU Trade and Technology Council, and bilateral ministerial meetings will be held during the visit. Upon her arrival, EU Commission President in a social media post wrote, and I quote, "In an era of conflicts and intense competition, you need trusted friends. For Europe, India is such a friend and a strategic ally," end quote. She also said that she had discussed with Prime Minister Modi ways and means to take India-EU strategic partnership to the next level. And the European Commission President started her India visit by paying a homage to Father of the Nation Mahatma Gandhi at his memorial at Rajghat in Delhi. Moving on, a Russian delegation arrived on Thursday at the residence of the U.S. Consul General in Istanbul for Russia-U.S. talks on resolving disputes over the work of their embassies in Washington and Moscow. The U.S. delegation is being led by Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Sonata Kulta, while the Russian delegation is being led by Alexander Tarshev, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs Director of the North Atlantic Department and also Russia's ambassador designate for the U.S. Also, the Kremlin said on Thursday that it believes dialogue with the United States should move forward as long as there is political will on both sides and a readiness to listen to each other, but also said that nobody is expecting any quick and easy solutions.
No one expects solutions to come easily and quickly. The problem at hand is too complex and neglected. But with the two countries' political will, with a willingness to hear and listen to each other, I think we will be able to get through this working process.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed his negotiation delegation to depart for Cairo on Thursday to continue Gaza ceasefire talks. The first phase of the ceasefire deal is due to end this week. The ceasefire, which came into effect on the 19th of January, has largely held despite numerous setbacks. but its first phase is due to end this week, and the fate of its next phase, which aims to end the conflict, remains unclear. And earlier today, the Hamas said it was ready to negotiate the next phase of the ceasefire deal after a swap in which it handed over what it said were the remains of 4 captives in exchange for the release of over 600 Palestinian prisoners and detainees held by Israel. It was the final exchange the two sides had agreed to as part of the first phase of the truce that is set to end this weekend. Negotiations are over a second phase, which would see the Hamas release dozens of remaining captives in exchange for more prisoners, and a lasting ceasefire have yet to begin. Meanwhile, the Hamas handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages to the Red Cross in Gaza on early Thursday, marking the final exchange under the Gaza truce in the first phase. The 4 hostages, previously identified by the Hamas as Tashi Idan, Itzhak Elgarat, Ohad Yahalomi and Shlomo Mansour, were abducted during the Hamas's 7th of October attack last year. The bodies were now undergoing initial identification at a forensic center in Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, buses carrying released Palestinian prisoners from Israeli prisons arrived in Gaza's Khan Yunis early Thursday, days after Israel had originally refused to release them. Israel had refused to release these prisoners on Saturday after the Hamas handed over 6 hostages in a staged ceremony. Now, the handover of the hostages' bodies was a significant step as well, as it completed the first phase of the ceasefire agreement, which involved the release of 33 hostages in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from some positions in Gaza, as well as an influx of aid. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet US President Donald Trump later on Thursday. Ahead of the meeting, Starmer stressed that there is no more important relationship for the United Kingdom than the one with Washington. He said this at a meeting with business leaders at the residence of British Ambassador to the US.
We are reforming permitting, getting things built, reducing barriers to investment and growth, and we're open for business, open for investment, and we're determined to help US innovators thrive in the United Kingdom. So my message is we want to work with you, we want to welcome you to Britain, we want a new partnership, because our history shows that when we work together, great things happen.
Meanwhile, on the issue of peace in Ukraine, Starmer has urged the US to provide a security backstop to any future European peacekeepers in Ukraine, saying only that would offer Kyiv a lasting peace rather than a temporary ceasefire. Starmer will be hosting Zelensky, French President Macron and other European leaders in Britain on Sunday as momentum grows. With Britain and France proposing peacekeepers, the shape of a possible deal has begun to emerge, but now it will be up to Moscow and Washington to seal it. And Donald Trump has said that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be visiting Washington on Friday to sign an agreement on rare earth minerals and other topics and to discuss future aid with the US.
President Zelensky is going to be coming on Friday. That's now confirmed, and we're going to be signing an agreement which will be a very big agreement. And I want to thank Howard and Scott for the job you guys did in putting it together. You really did an amazing job. And that'll be on rare earth and other things.
Though Trump said that the US will not be making security guarantees for Ukraine and Europe would, he also added that Russia will also make some concessions for a peaceful deal with Ukraine.
Guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that because it's in, we're talking about Europe as their next door neighbor. Yeah, he will. It's going to have to. And I believe that because we got elected, that war will come to an end.
While Zelensky said on Wednesday that the revenues from the resources deal would be deposited in a fund co-owned by Ukraine and the United States, and that Kyiv would not be a debtor over aid provided under the Biden administration. Now, staying with the US, President Trump has announced a forthcoming 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. And in response, the European Commission has vowed to counteract these unfair trade barriers, emphasizing its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers. Take a look.
On Wednesday, US President Donald Trump announced that his administration would soon implement a 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. In response, the European Commission vowed to take immediate action against unfair trade barriers and tariffs that challenge legitimate policies.
We have made a decision. We'll be announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%. Generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all other things. And European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way.
The EU reaffirmed its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers from unjustified tariffs.
Donald
Trump should look at the history of his own country. Custom duties have already been applied on a number of products from the European Union, and in reality, it had a very negative impact on both employment and the productivity of its own companies in Europe, but also of its own companies in the United States. So no one wins in this trade war. But if we had to respond, we will obviously respond.
The EU has a 10% tariff on passenger cars, 4 times the rate of the US passenger car tariff of 2.5%. US officials have also raised concerns about European value-added taxes, which start at 17.5%. Meanwhile, Trump raised hopes for another month-long pause on steep new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, saying they could take effect on April 2nd. However, the White House confirmed that the March 4th deadline for 25% tariffs remains in place, subject to Trump's review of border security measures and efforts to curb migration and fentanyl trafficking. Canadian Innovation Minister Francois Philippe Champagne stated that Canada will wait for Trump's signed executive orders before responding, while Mexico's economy minister declined to comment but announced that Minister Marcelo Ebrard will meet US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Thursday. Kajal's report for DD India.
Let's also now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. Influencer Andrew Tate, facing charges of human trafficking and rape in Romania, left for the United States on Thursday, the first time he has been out of the Eastern European country since his 2022 arrest. Romanian prosecutors allege that former kickboxer Tate, his brother Tristan and 2 women set up a criminal organization in Romania and Britain in early 2021 and sexually exploited several victims. Germany's Munich and Hamburg airports were hit by strikes by public sector union on Thursday and Friday, with airlines cancelling about 80% of the flights in Munich. Munich, Germany's second largest hub, said that there was a risk that even more flights could be cancelled. A 24-year-old man was arrested in Spain's eastern Valencia region on Thursday over emails threatening to attack schools and kill as many people as possible. Several schools in the town of Bunol and surrounding areas were closed or evacuated after receiving the threats. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Former NASA astronaut praises India's space journey on a visit to a Delhi school. And Swedish furniture conglomerate IKEA sets sight on North India for business expansion. Online deliveries to begin from the 1st of next month.
In a world increasingly shaped by climate challenges, we are all exposed to new risks. But efforts are being made to tackle these challenges.
Once you have per square kilometer accurate data, they will start mobilizing actions, and the top-down folks, will have an ability to focus on specific parts where the problem is.
By using locally grown food, we can not only reduce our impact on the climate, but also prevent lifestyle diseases.
I think this is extremely important to have this kind of community level engagement. And some of these awareness programs I am aware of are also providing some individual level strategy to really adapt to the situations.
We have community radio stations. We also have door-to-door information drives.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Gautam Roy. Now, India's President Draupadi Murmu graced the 44th annual convocation of the National Institute of Design on Thursday, where 430 students received their degrees. This marked the first time the President attended a convocation since NID gained autonomous status. Among the graduates, 5 received PhDs, 323 received master's degrees, and 102 received bachelor's degrees. The convocation also introduced the Pride of NID Awards to honor distinguished alumni.
NID indeed holds a place of its own, not only as the pioneer of design of education and practice in the country, but also for its unique way of teaching. Its faculty and students have consistently raised the bar of excellence in this field. I am sure the students completing their studies today will continue this great tradition.
India's space dream is making waves globally. Former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino visited a school in Delhi, sharing his incredible journey beyond Earth. He praised India's space journey, highlighting how the Chandrayaan mission was a headline in the US. He added that India looked great from space, and from India itself, it also looks incredible.
Wonderful. They made me feel so welcome. And I just arrived here. I think they arranged it very quickly, which amazes me that we were able to do this on short notice. But no, it is great. The students were very polite, had some great questions. The whole school, very welcoming. They just made me feel very welcome. And I think the enthusiasm, not just for the space program, but for the STEM fields here, I think that's really, really important. It's always been important to me, and so it's great to see it in work here. And the school just seems wonderful. The students, it couldn't be nicer, and everyone is so nice. I was so happy I had a chance to come visit. Great. India has a lot to offer. You know, I'm familiar with a lot of the students, people I've worked with at NASA, and a lot of the students that we have in the United States are very hardworking, very smart. I'm really glad to see the advances that they've made in the space program. Chandrayaan mission was amazing. It created a lot of excitement, not just here, but in the United States as well. I admired it from space when I flew over, and I'm glad I'm on the ground here getting a chance to see it. But people are just lovely, so nice, so welcoming, very nice. And I'm interested in taking a look around and seeing more. This is my first time here.
And former US House Chief Administrative Officer also visited a newly constructed Parliament building. He said that he is highly impressed with the state-of-the-art architecture and technology of the newly constructed Parliament.
Impressed with the overall architecture, and also really enjoyed learning about how your Parliament functions in terms of where the majority-minority sit, and when the Prime Minister speaks, having to deal with so many languages and simultaneous translation, and the fully automated document system. Those were all things that we could all learn from.
During his recent visit, Alexei Rusiki, governor of Ulyanovsk in Russia, highlighted the key areas of humanitarian cooperation between India and the development of educational initiatives. Take a listen.
The interaction between Russia and India within the BRICS framework opens up wide opportunities for both countries. Among them are the strengthening of cultural ties through joint events and the development of educational initiatives, the creation of business projects and startups to stimulate economic growth and solve social and environmental problems through volunteer projects, as well as the active participation of young people in political process and discussions of important issues, exchange of experience in the field of technology and innovation. The role of the BRICS alliance is growing every day. The involvement of the youth of the BRICS member countries in positive global changes is also growing. Young leaders from India are involved in events organized by the Russia BRICS International Youth Cooperation Project Office.
Professor Carlos Montes, who leads Innovation Hub at the University of Cambridge Business School, is in New Delhi, where he witnessed India's digital revolution firsthand with the UPI. Carlos was briefed about the massive transaction process over past years and how UPI has transformed global payments, driving financial inclusion and setting a new standard for secure, fast transactions. UPI has not only made financial transactions fast, secure and effortless, but it has also empowered individuals, small businesses and merchants, driving the country's shift towards a cashless economy. Carlos was also briefed over the UPI's global operations, including key markets like the UAE, Singapore and France.
I've been studying UPI and rapid payment systems for some time, so I think what impresses me is that the constant evolution, the fact that all these services are focused on making the technology more friendly. The importance of UPI and all these technologies that focus on citizens is that the fact that the people that are working on these technologies make sure that it can be used by any citizen in India.
And global home furnishings giant IKEA has announced its entry into North India with the launch of online deliveries in Delhi NCR and 9 satellite cities starting the 1st of March this year. Customers in Agra, Prayagraj, Amritsar, Chandigarh, Varanasi and various other Indian cities will now have access to 7,000 plus affordable products via the IKEA app, website and phone assistance. The move will boost employment in all sectors of production, including agriculture and craft, as well as distribution. The launch was announced at the Swedish Embassy in New Delhi. Its ambassador, Jan Theslev, welcomed IKEA's entry into Indian market in North India and said that to encourage the launch, he will refurbish his embassy with all products from IKEA, and that may have been a joke.
I had a meeting with my staff this morning, and at least we have a plan now to refurbish and refurnish the whole embassy with IKEA things. Now when we can order them online. Delhi Wallon, the wait is over. From 1st of March, you will be able to order online from the comfort of your homes.
Our retail journey around 6-7 years back with opening Hyderabad, the Mumbai market and Bangalore. And after that, we have prepared our presence up in the north with opening a logistics center together with our partner Renus in south of Gurgaon. And that will help us to supply with all the services to the customer and consumers up in the north. We are really happy to be here.
And in sports, Pakistan and Bangladesh ended their Champions Trophy campaigns without winning a single game as heavy rain lashed Rawalpindi, leading to the abandonment of their final match without a ball being bowled on Thursday. Pakistan, who won the 50-over tournament in 2017, lost to New Zealand and India and finished at the bottom of Group A. Bangladesh also faced a similar fate as they were defeated by New Zealand and India in their group match. Pakistan's failure to even win a game was a huge letdown for a country hosting its first major tournament in 3 decades. India and New Zealand progressed to the semi-finals from Group A. The Delhi Capitals have announced former England captain Kevin Pietersen as their mentor for the Indian Premier League 2025. The franchise made the announcement on social media, confirming the return of one of their most sought-after former players. Kevin Pietersen will work closely with head coach Hemang Badani, who was roped in for the new season. Delhi Capitals have gone through a complete overhaul of their coaching structure after parting ways with Ricky Ponting at the end of IPL season 2024. Sydney Stadium, Australia will host the final of the 2026 Women's Asian Cup on the 21st of next month, along with a semi-final and 2 quarter-finals. The other semi-final and quarter-finals will be played at Perth Stadium, where hosts Australia kick off the 12-team tournament on the 1st of next month. More than 60% of tickets for the event will be for matches at Sydney venues, while the Gold Coast will host only group stage matches. Australia's Matildas reached the semi-finals of the Global Showpiece co-hosted with New Zealand. And gearing up for the upcoming Rio Carnival, members of Afro-Brazilian religions have performed a traditional cleansing ritual, which they believe is important for opening the runway and providing positive energy for revelers. The carnival that transformed the city into a grand party, it's expected to witness over 1 million footfalls, including both locals and visitors. And that's it for the moment in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS, and you can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live. And up next is my colleague Mark with the Economic Brief.